This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into today's episode of Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Monday, January 23rd, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. And in today's episode, Dustin will visit with Gail Stratman. He is a Regional Technical Service Manager with FMC. And as always, we will take a look at the ag weather outlook. But first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined now by Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net for our closing analysis. Robin, what did we see on the grain markets today?
Well, we saw quite a bit of pressure on the grain markets, which was anticipated from last night already due to better rain coverage in Argentina. And that was probably the biggest thing that everybody's been watching. Now, that's not going to reverse any damage that's been done per se. That's long term, but better rains and then potential for some cooler weather, and maybe it'll limit some of the losses. But that got the liquidation going, and we saw significant pressure on the beans and corn market and wheat. Now, funds purchased heavily last week in the corn and beans, and now with the pressure that we've seen on there, they could be seeing some losses on those positions that they recently established, and that could trigger a little bit more liquidation if that we continue to see a little bit more pressure coming onto that market, and that could just kind of I call it pancake down a little bit to some extent. I think they'll be somewhat limited, but that could push more pressure onto that market. Now, lower ethanol demand also is being talked about, lower export demand. Ukrainian grain prices have been reduced. They're a little bit lower. Now, we did have export inspections come out as well today. Corn was 28.6 million bushels. That was down slightly, down 2.1 million bushels from last week. Soybeans at 66.4 million bushels, down 14.1 million bushels. And wheat, 12.3 million bushels. And that was actually up 300,000 bushels. So not really too much difference there. But we did see some export sales overnight of 192,000 metric tons of soybeans sold to an unknown destination. And on the wheat side of it, we're looking at weather really kind of benign weather. We've got some more moisture developing in the plains there, and really nothing as far as any extreme weather is concerned. So there's really not a lot on the wheat side, other than wheat really followed the grain markets, the other grain markets quite a bit today, but actually exceeded in its losses, setting actually not a new contract low, but March contract closed the chart gap that's been sitting there since late September of 2021. That was a total surprise to me when I started looking back a little bit. So those chart gaps, they are filled. And no matter what price level, high or low they are, it's something that we always need to be cognizant of, that those are technical points, and that's what's reached today.
On the other side of the ag marketplace, Robin, we know that with livestock, we've seen a lot of down numbers in some recent days. And then today, we get that news, as you mentioned, about the rainfall in Argentina. We see a lot of green on our market screens as far as the livestock numbers are concerned. How did the livestock numbers close? And was that a direct reaction then to that story in Argentina about receiving that rain?
Yeah, I think it was a direct reaction to that. We saw feeder cattle up triple digits, double-digit gains in live cattle. Now, feeder cattle are more reactive to lower grain prices than live cattle are. But it did react accordingly. So the pressure coming onto that did cause it to have a relief bounce at this point in time. Now, the cattle on feed report that we had on Friday was basically neutral. So that really didn't have much of an impact on today's trade, other than it could have been a little bit oversold into that report. But with the report being neutral, that really didn't have any impact on today. Most of the impact was from the lower grain prices. Now, lower cash last week might keep a lid on potential for the live cattle early this week until we start to see some of the bids, offers unfolding and business that looks to being done. So we had 2 weeks now of lower cash. Doesn't bode well for this week. We'll have to see how many cattle were purchased last week for deferred delivery this week and possibly next week. Boxed beef, though, was down at midday, 61 cents lower in choice, 57 cents in select. Might change by the end of the day, but recently we've seen some more pressure on the boxed beef prices, which may be an indication of consumers having reached a threshold and maybe a little bit slowing down in demand. Now, hogs closed lower after the rebound we had on Friday. Most of the movement on Friday seems to be done or due to short covering. Really didn't have much fundamental support behind it. April contract showed the most movement, but it was able to close about $1 off of its lows, but it did have the most movement today. Cash at midday was down 13 cents, not a lot, but still showing some weakness. We did see a little bit higher cash on Friday, showing a little bit of weakness. Now, cutout values at noon were up $3.49. If that can hold, that could certainly spur a little bit more buying tomorrow. Again, because usually some of that buying is a day late once they see the actual cash or the final print for cash and cutouts at the end of the day. So, but really, hogs don't really have a lot behind them fundamentally right now. And I think they're going to chop around here a little bit unless we can see a real trend develop.
He is Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net with our closing analysis today. Robin, how can our viewers get in touch for more great information?
You can call me directly at 877-256-3253 or go to the website agmarket.net. There's contact information there, the phone number they can pick up, and anybody will be able to answer and be able to answer questions or to work with them.
Robin, thanks for the time here on Monday. Have a great day and a great rest of your week.
All right, thank you.
And that was Robin Schmahl with agmarket.net. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. March corn down 10 even at 666 1/4. New crop December corn down 9 3/4 at 586 even. March soybeans down 16 1/4 at 1490 1/4. New crop November soybeans down 12 1/2 at 1339 1/2. May soybean meal down 360 at 447.40. May soybean oil up 7 cents at 62.05. Chicago wheat down 21 even at 728 even. Minneapolis wheat down 21 3/4 at 883 1/2. Kansas hard red wheat down 27 1/4 at 814 even. And May oats down 1 1/2 at 364 1/4. On the Merc, live cattle for February up 85 cents at 157.47. April live cattle up 62 cents at 160.55. January feeder cattle up 125 at 179.17. February lean hogs down 25 cents at 77.57. February pork cutout down 15 cents at 85.52. And Class 3 milk for January down 2 cents at 19.47. And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead now and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, Dustin will talk with Gail Stratman. He is a Regional Technical Service Manager with FMC. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today, Dustin will visit with Gail Stratman. He is a Regional Technical Service Manager with FMC. They're going to talk about disease management and also FMC's new fungicide option.
We're talking right now with Gail Stratman. He's a Regional Technical Service Manager with FMC. Gail, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us today.
You bet. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's talk about, first of all, you've got a new fungicide out from FMC. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in 2023, we're excited to bring to the market a product called Adastrio. It is a new 3-site of action fungicide from FMC. It incorporates a new novel SDHI chemistry, as well as our long-standing traditional flutriafol triazole chemistry, as well as astrobi chemistry. So we're going to get a broad spectrum of disease control, everything from our early season diseases like gray leaf spot, northern coral leaf blight, to some of the later ones like tar spot and southern rust. So a broad spectrum, long residual herbicide that I really think is going to be a good tool for growers to work into their foliar disease management program in corn. Protect that crop, enhance that yield, provide some plant health benefits that I think is going to be a really nice tool in that toolbox.
And having that long residual to carry it over, to get stuff right away, but then carry it over to that late season, where sometimes you can't get into the field as easily, at least you've got that head start on it.
You bet. When we think about disease management, it's really about thinking about a plan from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. And so, when we think about earlier in the season, we've really seen a lot of growers start to embrace and start to use our Xyway product, which is that at-plant fungicide that really gives that plant the benefits of disease protection from early in the season. And so not only are we seeing disease control out of that, but we're starting to see some physiological benefits from that Xyway, that plant health early in the season, maintaining a healthier lower canopy, preventing that disease buildup lower in that canopy. But that really sets us up for the success that we can get then from our foliar fungicide on the back end, because like I said, not all these diseases are going to come in at the same time. So how do you time that foliar fungicide application to get the most benefit out of whether it's earlier diseases or later diseases? How do you make that timing, and can you get the application done in a timely fashion across all your acres? Xyway really solves a lot of those problems by utilizing it at planting time. Then we can use our foliar fungicide to manage tar spot if it comes in, or southern rust if it comes in. Utilize that tool as kind of that last piece of the puzzle if we need it, but knowing that we've got that disease protection from Xyway up front. So we're really starting to talk to growers a lot about this two-prong approach of disease management full season, utilizing Xyway early and then following it with products like our Adastrio that we're going to be bringing to the market, or maybe some of our Lucento or Top Guard products. So we've got a full portfolio of fungicides, and we're extremely excited to talk to growers and retailers and provide those disease management solutions. With commodity prices where they are, capitalizing on those extra bushels can really pay dividends at the end of the day, help that grower's bottom line, because we've seen all these costs and input costs go up, so maximizing that yield potential and ROI is really important for that grower.
Now, obviously, with last year, we had drought in the western corn belt, too much rain in the east, or if you're in Iowa, you had both on either side of I-35, but each one then brings its own issues along with that situation.
Yep.
So what can those products do to help get ahead? Because we don't know when we put that seed in the ground what summer's going to be like, or even fall.
Right. So, like I said, when we look at those wetter environments, we're thinking about, higher disease pressure, a more conducive environment for those diseases to really develop. So having something on, like I mentioned earlier, with that Xyway is going to give you that protection. But then also some of the other benefits we see from it, from enhanced root growth, that really kind of helps from stress mitigation. So when we get into those drier environments and we start to put that crop under stress, being able to keep that plant healthier, and being able to keep that plant growing in a more healthy fashion. We're seeing benefits around hydraulic water conductivity in the plant. The ability of that plant to move water under stress, we're seeing benefits of that, of having that systemic fungicide in the plant from an early season. So, we're seeing a lot of other benefits that go beyond just disease control. So whether it's a wet environment or a dry environment, there's advantages you can take advantage of, I guess I should say, in those kind of situations, no matter the environmental conditions you're under.
Another topic we can talk about also is biologicals. You got some new products out there. Tell us a little about what you got going.
So in 2022, we introduced a product called Zeronar. It is a biological product that combines two strains of bacillus that really kind of help that plant in multiple ways. It provides some early season disease control from some of those diseases like Fusarium, Rhizoctonia, Pythium diseases. Also provides some nematode suppression. So in those environments where, again, we're getting stress on whether it's in soybeans with soybean cyst nematode, in corn with some of those types of nematodes, we're seeing some early season plant growth benefits, allows that plant to mitigate some of that stress caused by those environments, and seeing some yield benefits on top of that at the end of the season. So again, a biological product we're extremely excited to introduce in 2023, and looking forward to growth and getting it more used to growers utilizing and incorporating those biologicals as part of their disease management and stress mitigation systems.
All right, so if folks want to learn more about what FMC has to offer for their crop protection and their crop nutrient solutions, how do they get and find all that information?
You can get in touch with us a variety of different ways. You can go to our website, ag.fmc.com, if you want more information there, or you can talk to your local FMC Star retailer and get more information and get in contact with FMC that way.
All right, that's Gail Stratman. He is Regional Technical Service Manager with FMC.
And that was Gail Stratman, Regional Technical Service Manager with FMC. As for right now, let's take a look at the ag weather outlook. Well, it's a fairly uniform weather pattern throughout the state of Iowa, both today and tomorrow. As you look around the state today, we've got partly sunny skies for the most part, temperatures in the low 30s to mid 30s, but overall a fairly nice day to start out the work week here on Monday. As we look at tonight, we will have partly to mostly cloudy skies around much of the state of Iowa and some areas of fog. And those areas of fog will continue into tomorrow morning, especially in northwest Iowa. And then we will look at a weather pattern that is going to be pretty much the same story around the state of Iowa, and that is partly cloudy skies and the sun trying to peek through just a little bit with some comfortable temperatures. So we'll turn our attention now to the National Weather Service. What has in store for the next 24 hours? As you can see from the National Weather Service, there was a chance for flurries in northwest Iowa today, but apart from that, a pretty similar weather story around the state of Iowa, partly sunny to mostly sunny skies with high temperatures in the low to mid 30s. Tonight, mostly cloudy with areas of patchy fog around the state. Low temperatures tonight in the 16 to 29 range. And for tomorrow, Tuesday, mostly cloudy with areas of patchy fog. And once again, those high temperatures expected to be in the low to mid 30s range. As we look now at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, it will be the same story across the state of Iowa. Mostly cloudy skies with fairly comfortable temperatures for this time of year. Cherokee, mostly cloudy and a high around 30. Shenandoah, mostly cloudy and a high around 34. Des Moines, also mostly cloudy on Tuesday, high around 33. Albia and Waterloo, mostly cloudy. Albia with a high around 35. Waterloo expected to be around 32. And for Clinton on Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies with a high around 34. For a more detailed forecast in your part of the state, check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content. It's located on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find our video content and previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. And don't forget our free twice daily market podcast. Those are found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. On behalf of Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.